to the 11th grade. I probably didn't cut them. I was probably like one of those guys in the Guinness Book of World Records from like India or something.
Curly nails?
Just them long nails. I just had long fucking nails. I never think about nails, ever.
Okay.
So I do rip holes in some of my socks. But the socks that I don't, I was like putting socks away from my wife, and I'm like, I remember when we bought those. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember when I bought this sock, especially. I'm like holding up a sock in my hand. And I'm like, this thing is from when we moved into this apartment 12 years ago.
You got to get rid of them at some point. I mean, once they bother you, I feel like you get rid of them. I usually wear through mine in time.
Mine are brown.
Don't do that.
Usually white. But they're not dirty. They get washed.
Yeah, but
they don't have sweat on them, but they're brown because they've been around for a while.
They've been around the block.
Yeah.
They've soaked up a lot of fluid.
They've been hanging around. I mean, people already make fun of my socks. I was just always wondering about that.
Yeah, I have the same thing. Underwear is the other one, too, where I just, like, if it doesn't get holes in it, I'm like, is it okay to have it for 10 years?
I know. That's the thing. Because you look at shit. I don't have any shirts that are 10 years old.
Right.
I don't have any pants that are 10 years old. None of my shirts or pants are 10 years old. My shirts, the oldest shirt I have is probably 2 years old. And I wear it to bed.
Got it.
Which I got yelled at too, because they say I wear 2 outfits every day.
At your house?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's another outfit.
Well, I wake up.
Yeah.
I put on clothes. And then when I'm about to go to bed, I take a shower. I put on a shirt, a pair of shorts, a pair of underwear, and a pair of socks.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, man, you make a lot of fucking laundry. And I'm like, I'm wearing like a normal person's amount of clothes. Yeah. You know?
Sure.
Back in the Leave It to Beaver days, the dads wore even more clothes to bed. I wear a shirt and a pair of shorts, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm getting grief.
I'm an only underwear guy, so
it's gross. It's gross.
It's comfortable. It's like being in nature.
I didn't say this on the air because I was so embarrassed about it at the time because I didn't know. I had a rash, right? Like on my leg.
Heat rash, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I thought it was a filth rash.
Ah.
I don't know any rashes. I know that there are rashes from laundry detergent and rashes from filth. And I had this heat rash on my leg, and I was still unsure if it was fungus or something, so I wasn't talking about it on Wednesday. But we figured it out right before we came to record the podcast, or right after, that it was a heat rash. So I was like, how do I fucking cure this thing? My wife's like, well, you're not going to like it. And I said, what? She was like, it says to put aloe on and sit naked in an air-conditioned room. And I said, oh, I don't think I can do that.
Not going to happen?
I think I'm going to die from this rash.
Okay. So you went you just gave into your mortality.
Yeah, but then by the end of the night,
you were naked, covered in aloe vera.
I closed the door to my room. I turned the lights all the way, lights on. God. And then I got naked and I put some aloe on and I made it 14 minutes. I looked at my clock and was like, well, I was naked for 14. That's the longest I've been naked in probably 15 years. So
wow. You don't get naked when
you... never. When you what?
Well, bump uglies.
No.
What, do you keep something on?
Yeah.
What?
Like
shirts?
Sometimes my shirt, sometimes...
Oh, no, you got to have skin to skin, man.
Sometimes I keep my pants just like kind of around my ankles.
No, you don't. Don't
like
do
one
that.
leg of them.
Stop it.
One leg of them.
That's bad
so
form.
that I can just put them back on when I'm done. I like kind of roll them over and pull them back up.
Yeah, that sounds like you're pissing.
But I want to be naked, dude. Nobody wants to see me naked. There is not a single person.
The person that's copulating with you.
Not even her. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think it's her preference. I don't think it's anybody.
Maybe she wants some titty play too. Maybe she wants to play with some titties.
Oh, well, see, nobody sees. I don't want her to see my titties. I'm trying to hide my titties from everybody.
It's sensual.
That's why I wear those long shirts.
Okay.
That's why them big shirts.
Yeah, I wear 3.
That's why I keep my belly so big so it goes out past.
Right.
And then it looks like it's just a fat belly guy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's what's going on with me.
Okay.
I leave my clothes. That's
did bad form. I gotta say that's a foul. I would give you a foul.
Sometimes I hold them in my hand.
Oh no!
Sometimes I take them all the way off and then hold them in my hand off the side.
You don't want to say this. You don't want this recorded.
I'm just.
You don't want people to see you admitting to this.
I can't help it. That's it. I don't want to be naked, dude. I
Okay.
never did.
Okay,
Not
I
even
didn't mean
when
to
I
talk
was-
about this.
Not even when
You're
I
making
was
me uncomfortable.
Thin. When I was thin, I was never I don't wanna see it.
Okay.
I don't
I'm
want
doing
mirrors
like
in a bathroom.
I'm naked doing like ding dong helicopter.
Oh, I hate that. I hate even the thought of that. I hate thinking about nakedness. It's just filth.
Oh, it's natural. It's how we were all born, you know? The clothes are all just Madison Avenue fucking brainwashing, man.
I think you should be allowed. I don't think
Sure.
I don't want to make it illegal or anything.
course.
I used to look. I'm a regular guy, dude. I used to watch Real Sex. And
You
be
might
like,
as well be Brian Belushi.
Yeah. I watched Real Sex a lot when I was younger, and I'd be like, oh man, you know, those people go hang out, those ugly people go hang out at those nudist colonies. And I mean, I could do that. I would love to do that. I can't, but I love their bravery.
Yeah.
And the line of duty or whatever, you know?
Yeah. When I saw Real Sex, I saw those people get like vacuumed up inside a latex with like a straw in their mouth, and I'm like, is that available nearby? Is there like a quick way to get into that? Like
That show, man.
How deep do you have to get in to do that?
That show was like
That
such
seems like an expensive setup to put me on like a rotisserie.
People talk about how porno like messes young people up now, like because they see it. But like when we were younger, it was Real Sex, and
It did. It was scary. I mean, it
that
was like,
show like really fucking like you're just guys like fucking banging their dicks with hammers on that show.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what am I like? Is this what it's gonna be when I get old?
right.
and
Is this what I have to
bored
look forward
with
to?
my life?
Yeah.
I'm old and bored, and I'm hammering my dick into a piece of wood. I don't want to do that. Currently, I would just like to smooch a lady.
Yeah, I mean, I think we missed the point. We thought it was going to be a horny show when it was more just about, you know, the ways that people express
Who
themselves.
did you think they were making that show for, though? That was specifically for teenagers.
I don't think it was.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. Because I don't know any adults that watched it.
Like, there was other regular pornography that was better for teenagers than watching, like, people ride
When
each
you
other
were
as
a kid.
ponies and shit.
Right. When you were a kid. Because you were 5 years after me. The internet wasn't popping when I was like watching
I'm
it.
talking about scramblers. I'm talking about like somebody's dad who has the box that unlocks all the channels.
dude.
Yeah, all that stuff.
I watched so much free wrestling on those D-Scramblers.
Those
You
were
have no
great.
idea. That's how I saw all the pay-per-views.
All right, let's get out of the porno history segment of the show, and I wanted to share some of the mail that we got. Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, I know now this horrible thing has happened.
Really?
Let me just say,
We're not
people
there
have
yet.
now realized. Oh, we're not on the part yet.
Well, we haven't gotten to this part.
Okay, we won't go to that part yet. But when we get to that part, I want to explain why
Disclaimer.
this is not great.
Disclaimer. So, I don't know who sent this, to be honest. It was just sent directly from the manufacturer, but we got the history of historic LSD blotters. I'm sorry.
No McDonald's though, which was the first
I didn't
one
see
did.
McDonald's in here. There is a lot of good ones. There's like some mandalas. There's some stars. Camels are cool. We got some filigree, some lions,
Man,
UFOs,
why come I only did-
yin yangs.
I only did white and McDonald's. Those are the only two kinds I had, right?
They got the-
tornadoes. Cubert, maybe tornadoes. That was it. I didn't have any good
I had-
stuff. We called it the Texas Tornado.
I had max headrooms.
Oh, lucky.
We had Pokemons and Teletubbies.
None of that stuff, man. We were rednecks, I guess. They just gave you the...
Mine was just a guy like getting liquid acid and just printing off like paper from his computer.
Good.
I'm pretty
Smart.
sure is what he was
I think
doing.
you gotta buy a special paper, though.
You
Better
do, you
card
should,
stock.
but he was doing, I'm pretty sure that's what his thing was. So if you want to send us mail, it's P.O. Box 82306, Columbus, Ohio 43202. One more time, that's P.O. Box 82306, Columbus, Ohio 43202. We also got all the way from St. Louis, the What a Hell of a Way to Die podcast sent us their zine. They got a zine now. There's some competition in the zine game. And Brian, they sent us some official military patches.
Nice.
It says, no step on snack.
Snack. I read that as snack every time, and I know I'm supposed to say snake, but I say snack.
If you order from the Street Fight store, it'll probably be thrown in with one of those orders.
Okay.
That's normally what
okay.
I do with stuff
We got
like
a few
this.
snacks.
The second to last one, the Church of the Subgenius. I was able to meet up with one of their Twitter people.
You're the best,
It was
man.
crazy. It
You're
was
a nice
like
guy.
20 years in the making. I remember finding out about the Church of the Subgenius when I was younger and thought it was the coolest thing in the world, but I missed the boat because it was like 2004 and, you know, Frank Zappa was already dead.
Yeah.
Mark Mothersbaugh was doing Rugrats movies.
Yeah.
Right? You
With
know, it was over. The dream was over. But I used to go on the internet to and download all of these videos that the Church of Subgenius would put out, like all of the festivals and the shit they recorded. So someone sent us the Three-Fisted Tales of Bob, short stories in the Subgenius mythos, which I am very excited to read. You can follow them on Twitter at the Church of the Subgenius. Now, this final one here is what Brian is going to give you a disclaimer about.
So, for some reason, for the past 3 weeks, people have discovered that I will not pass up eating something on the air. Now, in real life, I don't eat anything. I don't want to eat. But for some reason, when I'm doing this podcast, I feel the need to eat food. And now people are sending us food every week. Disgusting stuff. I mean, really, come on. The tomato candy and the double salt licorice were vile.
Right.
And the energy drinks, not
Yeah, the energy
good.
drink. I was the Old Glory energy drink.
So now I have this tamarind candy, which all I know about tamarind is I think it's a vegetable.
Okay.
It's hard to make candy out of.
From Nairi, Pelon Pelo Rico, the Tamarindo original. It's like a paste. Brian, so I have had tamarind. It's like a big pod. I think it's a legume. It's like a peanut. But inside is this paste. It's kind of raisiny, I would say. It's kind of like cherry. But they usually load it down. The first three ingredients on this are sugar, water, and corn syrup. So I think you'll be fine. And then it also has chili powder, which when I used to go to the flea market in Dallas, I would get tamarind and mango with the chili powder on it. So this is a squeezy paste. So you just push it out like it's hair.
Like it's hair?
Sorry, my daughter has the Minions Play-Doh set, and you push it out like you push the hair out. Like
I'm gonna lick this right now, and I'm gonna try to have.
She has the Trolls one too.
I'm gonna try to like it. How's it?
It's good. It's like a fruit roll. It's like a
like a fruit roll powder in it, though, right?
Right.
That's not fruit roll up.
Take a bite. It's sweet.
Oh, God damn it!
It's like it's good. I love it.
Tastes like raisins with taco seasoning.
Hey man, we're gonna lose out on that Mexican listenership, man. It's good. I love it. The spice is nice. I didn't notice it until the end, when there's just a little tingle.
I'm gonna drink this kratom to get that taste out of my mouth.
I'm finishing this one off.
You're gonna have mine.
Look at that hair grow.
I did not like that. For listeners out there, I didn't like it. I only I'm just like such a basic dude, you know.
You like the laboratory made flavors that you grew up with.
Yeah, grape.
Right.
Old grape. No taco seasoning in my candies. Stop sending me candies with taco seasoning in them.
That's good.
Ooh.
I'll take a case.
I'll give Brett can have my case too.
All right. So that is the snack attack portion of the show. Before we get the calls in here, I want to remind you that we are taking pre-orders until July 1st for the Guys and Gals and Non-Binary Pals t-shirt. Those are being made on super soft, 100% ring-spun American-made cotton, printed with union labor, and 10% of the proceeds are going to be going to Mosaic, the LGBTQ youth center here in Columbus, Ohio. So, all around good things. If you want the shirt, you can get it for $0, $14, or $28, depending on what your price level is. If you just don't have the money for it right now, and you're a listener, just message us on any of the platforms and let us know you want to take advantage of that. We've had a lot of people step up and pay for the Comrade shirt. That's putting money towards somebody else that can't afford a $28 shirt, which I totally understand. You can get that at store.streetfightradio.com. That's where you can find the pre-order link. That's the best way to get one. I'm going to order extra. I don't know if it's going to be every single size, so I recommend trying to get the pre-order in so that way you're going to get one. The price might have to go up too if we end up losing money on this, because sometimes that happens. But get in there now, store.streetfightradio.com.
Yeah, get in the Street Fight Radio store and buy some shit. I need a good vacation.
Right. We can get some new microphones or something, or we can buy a desk. We can probably use some of the money to upgrade the studio in some way.
Yeah, maybe have it not smell bad. That would be cool.
We could get some
We
cleaning
can
crew to
get some
come
air
here,
fresheners or something.
get rid of some of the mildew, get a giant piece of wheat bread to soak up all the moisture.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
You want to see who's on the phone?
Let's get in these phones, man.
They want to talk to us. Thank you for calling Street Fight. Who are
Hey,
you
is
talking
this me?
to?
You're here. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Terry in Atlanta, Georgia.
Are you a real Terry or are you being Terry? Just guessing. Just wondering.
I'm being Terry.
Okay, good. Okay. I can hear the call. I'm
yeah,
talking to the
although
caller.
my what's
Let me
it
see
called?
who
My
the channel
father-in-law is a real Terry, and he is a sculptor. But in the '60s, he traveled from like Beirut to India and then Sri Lanka, studying mask making and puppetry, and tried to spread the word of socialism being a puppeteer.
Okay, that is very cool.
Love it.
Socialism was real weird before, like, about 5 years ago, where they would be just like, hey, check out these cool paper mache puppets we make. Join socialism.
Well, we're
Yeah.
doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But no, we're trying to do something cool.
Well, puppets are cool.
Yeah. I don't know how didactic it got, but his figures are fucking horrifying and awesome.
Yeah.
He made a puppet for a music video for me, which I'm pretty psyched on.
That's
So.
cool. Puppets kick ass. Well, what's going on tonight, Terry?
Well, I wanted to talk about street fight doctors. Not in the way that they give themselves a little, anesthetic before they do an operation kind of street fight doctors. I mean, comrade get their butts whipped at work and, work crazy hours sort of doctors.
All right.
I thought you were talking about ones that would write me scripts for painkillers, but
Exactly.
you're talking about a different
Yeah.
kind of street fight.
I thought
I mean in a much cornier, sort of sincere way. They're in the struggle, but I do totally respect also the sketchy kind of doctor.
Yeah.
Well,
my back hurts.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh, God.
my street fight doctor
Yeah.
has bare feet and a great recipe for rose hip tea.
Yeah.
Brett only goes to Christian doctors now. So, do you, so we're talking, because, I did one time years ago, I went to this doctor because I didn't have insurance, and I don't know if he's still, working in Columbus, but he was just look, you give me $15, and I'll give you what I got. And you would just go in there, and I told him I was having panic attacks, and he was like, you should be on Zoloft. Take all of these.
Yeah.
He handed me a big handful of samples and said, take all these, and if they work, come back and I'll write you a prescription. And I was like, it didn't end up working, and it ended up arresting my kind of mental health for 3 or 4 years. But if that happened now, I probably would have given it more time, more thought, and actually followed up. But that was always cool. The doctors that do, there are a lot of doctors out there that are just they're trying to help. They might not be the best doctors, but they're I know that it was just this doctor that a bunch of people told me about. He was in kind of a neighborhood that was more working class, underclass sort of thing. And he was trying to help people. I just don't know if he was the best doctor,
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting that you went there. I mean, I personally have never experienced doctors quite so on the level like that. I was, personally, my experience, I was more thinking my wife, she's a resident. And all right, so check it out. So I wouldn't know this unless, I was married to one, but I feel like we haven't talked about, you guys haven't talked about on the show much, or the callers haven't. Do you know how getting in, becoming a doctor works? It's med school and then residency, and then you're a full practicing doctor.
Yeah. Do you get paid for the residency?
Yeah. So
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, you do. So my wife is in a surgical residency. So that means after med school you have your MD, then different specialties have different residencies. You get paid starting at 50 G's, something like that.
Okay.
And that goes on between 3 to like 8 years,
Gee,
depending on your specialty.
8 years?
Yeah,
You
depends
get-
what you do. That's like plastic surgery and stuff like that. They can go on because after residency, when you get like board certified, then you do a fellowship, which is another fucking level of study, and it you don't get paid the big bucks until after all that. So sometimes it can be like almost a decade with like we got out of her med school with $250,000 of debt.
Okay.
Oh my
and
God.
you're getting right, and you're getting paid starting at 50. Now, check this out. On her specialty, on the surgical one, she works on average 90 hours a week.
Oh my God, that's unreal. You don't want someone in medicine doing that at all.
It's crazy that they let like 'cause
Right?
they don't even let truck drivers work like that.
I mean, there's enough information comes out that you get so many diminishing returns at that many hours. Like someone it's like they didn't sleep. It's awful.
They don't let truck drivers
Well,
drive for 90 hours a week.
Yeah, she and her colleagues regularly, depending on what rotation, like what service you're on, they do several over the course of a month. They use 32-hour shifts straight, where sometimes she's working, she gets like 15 minutes of sleep, and this is all soap. She does it stone cold sober. I don't know how she does it.
Coffee?
but-
You gotta do coffee at least. And
No, coffee.
Cocaine,
Yeah, definitely
just
coffee. But
a
it's
tiny bit
it's
of
pure
cocaine.
adrenaline.
Yeah. A bang
Dude,
and some coke.
they've all got to be on speed. I would be on speed. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do it without.
Well, they
that.
drug test the shit out of
absolutely.
them, you know? I imagine.
They did once. No, they did once at the beginning of the residency, and that was that.
That's wild. They have the
So-
most access to the good stuff. But I mean, I'm glad they trust them enough. But so so she's working 90 hours a week, making 50 grand a year, no overtime. Is this a
No.
salary position?
Yeah, it's salary. There's
How do
no,
they get away with it?
and that-
in that, like, are there not enough other people working?
So this is the thing. So when this all began, like, as you can imagine, I was just like, what the how is this possible? I did not realize it would be this way. Like, med school was brutal for her in terms of the hours she put in, but, she slept. But then when all this stuff began, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
So then I asked her how it works. So it's like, and like every fucking thing else, it has to do with capitalism. Now, I'm probably going to butcher the shit out of this, so I open any Street Fighters who know more about, economics and the way this shit is distributed to correct me in the Facebook group or, in another call-in show. But basically, from what I understand, is the program that runs the residency gets a block grant from the government that's based on the price of Medicare, kind of like how some other things in, private insurance and all that works.
Okay.
And it's totally opaque, and they don't have to disclose exactly how much they get. And then they say, oh, we can only afford X many number of residents. And then they just divvy up the money that way between like the hospitals and the residents. So it's somehow determined by like something, a chunk of cash coming from the government and like the price of, Medicare, not Medicaid. So I don't understand how the fuck that works, but it's only in this country that they're made to work it's such insane hours. And because they need to. Like, she cannot call out. When she calls out, if she's out sick for any day, she doesn't get any sick days. She gets 3 vacations a year, like a week each.
Is that like a normal thing for doctors not getting sick time?
Well, yeah. At least in her field with like surgery stuff, it's like if you're not there to do the surgery, there's not anyone to cover you. They don't have like any
guess
sort
that's
of.
true. I mean, it's still
You have to.
it still doesn't make sense not to prepare for the eventuality that somebody might get sick at some point.
I don't understand. I mean, they shuffle around schedules and people cover for each other, but it's just insane. So it's really crazy, but because there's like definitely a sense of solidarity because the stakes. It's not like I work at a grocery store. Like if I call out, it's like it doesn't, some other person will stack the avocados.
I mean, but you would think
when it's
that you would think it was the exact same amount of importance when you cough at a grocery store too. I have been when I worked at the grocery store and I called off work.
Yeah.
It was just like, how the hell are we supposed to run this place a bagger down?
We're getting a wine truck today, man. Like, are you sure? Like all right.
Oh, well, I mean,
no, totally.
These avocados aren't going to stack them damn selves. There's nobody else here that can stack the avocados.
I mean,
like
we gotta
you.
rotate the stacks. We gotta rotate the stacks in the back. I mean, do you know the spoils we have to take care of? This is not okay. I'm gonna make a note of this. Yeah,
It is funny. It is like the one thing about. I mean, I get it makes more sense for a surgeon because it's such a specialized thing. But every job I've never had a job that didn't panic every time you call and say you're sick. Like every single person every person in the room because back when I worked at the cable company, you had to call on the phone. And then you had to call on your Nextel and tell somebody. And if they didn't answer, you had to keep hitting them on the Nextel until somebody answered. And sometimes the bosses didn't answer. They were just like, I ain't fucking answering on that thing. So you would just be laying in bed sick, trying to hit this button to get a damn answer. And when you finally got through, as soon as you said it and they came back to you to talk to you, you just you heard just dudes just talk like they just never fucking stop. Like they were freaking out about it. What are we gonna do with your route? And shit like that. It's like I don't know. I mean, people can wait to get their cable fixed till tomorrow. So
yeah, man. I mean, people in wanting to feel a sense of purpose and importance at work. I get the impulse, but it's like, it's fucking cable. But this is like literally like some of her rotations are like these are burn victims.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, it's
and 90 hours though doesn't like. Does she get to? You said she gets to sleep for about 15 minutes during like. Do they have a little room that they can go into to catch some sleep? They get on scrubs.
No, it's not like. It's like, what's it called? It's like, depending on what she's doing, like, it's like every fourth night she'll have like one of those 30-hour shifts. But otherwise, she does come home, but it's like she leaves at, 5:30 in the morning, comes home 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night.
Do you think think that part of this is not necessary? I mean, obviously it's still capitalism no matter like how you cut it, but do you think that part of this might be that a lot of people aren't really going to school because they don't want to take on $250,000 worth of debt? And even if you did like say Medicare told you need to hire this certain amount of people, they wouldn't still be able to do it. Like, I can't imagine there are a ton of surgeons out there to pick from just because of the amount of debt and the amount of dedication you have to go through to get to that point.
I mean, I'm not sure in terms of like a shortage. It's not like you hear all the time about how there's a shortage, well, just in general, rural doctors, because people don't want to move out there and there are all these like incentives to get people out there. I don't think, I don't know, to be honest.
Like nurses, there have been nurse shortages in Ohio and Columbus for as long as I can remember. I've been reading in the newspaper that there are nurse shortages here. And, they say they pay well, but I mean, well enough. The newspaper says they pay well, I guess. The nurses are actually going on strike here at the college. I got to find out more about that. But
my sister went to Arizona. She flew to Arizona, got it all paid for, and gets paid a ton of money.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that field seems impossible for anybody to, I guess, like that field is almost, and not in the same, not in an unethical way, but that field's a lot like the police, where it's very hard to see how the whole thing works. From the outside, it's hard to look into the medical field and quite understand how the whole thing works,
Well, I feel like it's like hard enough to make that field work, just like in general in civilization, but it's like when you throw the fact that it's a marketplace and that there are private interests in there, it just fucks it up even more. It just makes it insane.
Well, the profit motive. the fact that you have to that profit thing is like that's going to make everything harder every time. Like nothing is easier when you have to get more out of it than you put into it.
Yeah, exactly. And these are, they're really, it's funny because I hear people at work, kind of shit on doctors a lot. And I get it. Like, doctors are just like everyone else. There are dicks that are doctors. Total. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, and treat people badly. And, like, I totally get that. But on the same token, obviously, I'm super biased about my own wife. But, like, the people I know, too, it's like they rotate down here, at least in the program she's in Atlanta, the big public hospital. And, they take in, I mean, it's like, I feel like most of our patients are, indigent, struggling people from the street and mentally ill and stuff. And they just like bust their asses to help people out. And then they get some fucking, I don't know, like a Becky type in there saying, "Can I speak to your manager?"
Yeah.
Like that happened. That literally happened. We were in bed, and she gets called when she's on home call, which is another thing. They just call you all night, and it was like a woman like, "Well, I'm going to tell Emery that like if she wanted her like." I shouldn't go to specifics, but she wanted something done quicker and they couldn't because they're strapped. And then she like basically did I'm going to talk to your manager about this.
Did it work?
It's like,
though? 'Cause I want
motherfucker,
to talk
like,
to a manager actually about some stuff.
The manager of the doctors.
the manager of the doctor. And it's just like,
Can I speak to your
guess,
medical manager?
I'm going to report this to Emery, and it's just like, oh shit, I just doxed myself. Oh well. But
we spend
yeah,
thousands of dollars at this hospital every year, and we're never coming back.
Yeah.
Well, here I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you real quick. Okay. Thank you for defending your wife, first of all, because we are all about defending
my wife and my
wives
gun
on this show.
Yeah.
And number two, we hope to see you in Atlanta at something that we'll be announcing very soon. So.
Oh, I'm very excited for what shall be going on in Atlanta.
Yeah, and please come up and say I'm the wife. I'm the doctor's husband. My wife is a doctor.
I'm the doctor's husband,
and I will know you. I'm the grocery store doctor husband.
Sounds like a good show.
Yeah, the grocer.
The doctor's husband.
We take our wives, our vapes, and our guns very seriously down here.
You gotta back them up.
Thanks for calling. That was really, that's kind of, we don't think about stuff like that on this show enough. We hit like the service industry and stuff, but there are a lot of listeners that work in medical fields.
A few medical people I know are ones that end up bursting into tears like during parts of it for certain stressful jobs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that baked into it where they just literally fucking break you.
I mean, yeah, and it's just sort of like they can't. I guess I'll wrap up because I know you all started a little late. But what's it called? It's just me working in retail, being just very much your typical street fighter, but being with someone who's so crazily exceptional and so good-hearted, and they can't organize, they can't unionize down here. They have in other parts, and they can't defend themselves, and they're so exploited. I feel major solidarity with them because, it's a whole other level of customer service.
Yeah,
but it's like
they did that to the teachers.
Anyway,
they did that to the teachers in West Virginia. Did you see that?
No.
They passed a budget, and as part of the budget, they said they're not allowed to strike no more.
Oh, great. Yeah. That's always good.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but anyway, I'll get off and let y'all get going, but I cannot wait to see you down here in Atlanta.
Cool.
It's going to be awesome.
Have a good night.
Yeah. You know what they say, behind every good woman is a street fighting man.
And a wife. Behind every man is a wife.
No, that's not true.
Yeah. So you want to hear something I found out this week,
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to preface this by saying my wife works for us now, and she thinks we're great. She thinks me and Brett she thinks Brett's mean sometimes, but it's just Brett being Brett, But she thinks we're good. She says we're good people to work with. She has told me many times. So we're talking on the way home, walking home, and I was like, yeah, man, I worked 2 jobs with you before we dated, We worked together at Chuck E. Cheese, and we worked together at the golf course. And she was like, yeah. I was like, you ever think about me? when we worked there, and we weren't dating or anything. She's like, I was like, you ever like think about me? She was like, yeah, you were lazy. You were very lazy. And I was like, well, I don't think I was that lazy at the golf course. And she was like, every time I needed you for something, you were somewhere smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I got all defensive, and I was like, well, everybody thought you were fucking mean. You were mean to everybody in the kitchen.
Because they tried to get you to work to do your job.
Right.
You were always asking us to do our job.
It's like I was like thinking about it later, and I was like, yeah, she should. I mean, that was bad form, like telling the truth, you know?
No,
Like,
you
kind
should
of
always tell the truth.
bad form in that conversation. We're 20 years past, you know? This is 19.
I
I'm
disagree.
40 years old. She could have just been like, oh yeah, I mean, you were working hard out there, you know? You're
No.
putting the tables up and
No.
stuff like that, you know?
No, you gotta accept who you are. You have to have some self-awareness.
I
Like, you
always
can't
thought-
just sign up. You can't just have a partner that like co-signs your narrative.
You don't think? I always thought at the golf course I worked pretty hard. I always felt as though I was always lifting.
You're saying she
heavy
popped your
stuff.
bubble.
Right. I was always lifting heavy stuff. I just don't want to think. Here's what I don't want to think. We'll take the next call in just a second. I don't want to think that every single minute of my working life up to now, up to 2016, was all me being lazy. Like every minute of it. Like I want to think there were some bursts of like greatness in there. You know what I mean?
You've made this whole show by telling stories about how you've never done the job right.
Right, but there was I like to think in my mind, I like, oh, you know, I'm goofy, you know, oh, look at this joke about this time I fell asleep at work and I didn't wake up and then I claimed overtime for it. You know, like I like to tell that story, but in my mind I like to think, because like I do think there is a little bit in there of like bad solidarity. If you're an exceptionally bad employee. You see what I'm saying? I like to think I wasn't like always bad, but every time I talk to somebody from my past, they're like, "Ugh, I hated working with you." Like the worst person I ever worked with.
Yeah, I always thought you just accepted it as like a function of like the workplace. That someone has to be the bad employee, and that would be you.
Well, yeah. Well, I didn't think it was me all the time. Yeah, obviously, the bad employee still goes home and complains about somebody.
That's true.
Right?
That's also true.
There's got to be somebody. Everybody has to complain about somebody.
Right, you weren't Mitch or whoever else. You weren't whoever the other guy was.
Yeah, I like to think that there was always somebody that wasn't as good as me, though.
Brian,
you know,
they just
coasting in the middle.
They just wanted you to hang out and tell jokes. They just did not expect you to do a good job.
Okay.
That's all it was.
Okay.
That's all it's been.
I just always feel like I always feel like there was probably like, because I feel bad. Not bad.
Do you feel bad that your wife was in need? She needed a busser?
I feel like
25 years ago?
No. I feel like a really odd, like, there's a thing in my heart, right? That is like, you worked for real 100 different, however many different, let's say 30 different jobs from the year of 1995 until 2008. You worked all these jobs, right? And you're thinking, there were probably some periods in there where I could have like gone to management or something like that. Like there were times where I showed promise.
Okay.
And that like the system was what was grinding me down and keeping me to not living up to my full potential. It wasn't me that was stopping me from living up. It wasn't like this concerted effort to be a monkey wrenching horrible employee. But now when I think about it, I'm like, maybe
Folks, that's how you get your bubble burst.
It was a waste of time. Maybe I wasted a lot more time than I thought I did.
Yes. If you consider your problems the fault of somebody else, you're going to find out that a lot of people think you did them yourself.
Well, the system is fucked up. You know how the system works.
Yeah, I mean, you just do what they want and they like you.
Didn't work like that for me.
Yeah,
though.
you want to do what Brian Quimby wants.
That's true.
All right, let's get on the phone here. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to?
Hey, can y'all hear me all right?
Yes.
Oh, great. This is Dave from Orlando.
What's up, Dave from Orlando? What's going on tonight?
Not too much. I'm sick as all hell, but I just got some food in me, so I'm going to make it through.
What kind of food you eating?
I can't eat too much, so I just had some applesauce and saltines.
Ugh. I had a salad for dinner, so I guess we're both on the same level there. So what you calling in for tonight?
Not too much. I've got a work story, but also I was the guy after the other week's basement show who was tweeting about how Mike Rowe doesn't know shit about linguistics.
Okay. All right. I would love to. Well, I do know a little bit, but yeah, let's hear the work story, and then we'll follow it up with a little Mike Rowe.
All right, sounds good. Yeah. I actually just got back into the country a couple of months ago. I was teaching English in Japan for a year.
Oh, that sounds sweet.
Oh, I'll say it was life-changing. It was pretty interesting.
Like good life changing, or like you were miserable?
Depends on the time, but that's where I found the show and started reading more into politics and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you speak Japanese, obviously, right?
Only a little bit. I can kind of get by with day-to-day stuff.
So and you were teaching English, were you teaching English as a second language, or were you teaching Americans in Japan?
Yeah, I was teaching kindergarten through adults at, they call it an Eikaiwa. It's an English conversation school.
Ah, how was it? So what's that like?
The kids were absolutely fantastic. My other teachers and everything were cool, but I'm the same as here. It's the management that's the issue.
Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah, so one of my classes, my adult intermediate class, I was co-teaching this with another teacher. We would each do like one class each week. And halfway through the year, we got to the end of the textbook that we were working with. And we went over all of our lesson plans together and things like that. And basically, we were going at a normal pace. If we were to go slower, it would have been we never would have gotten through anything. So we finish up with this textbook, and I just go to the principal and I say, hey, can we go ahead and order the next textbook? And this principal looks like she has no idea what I'm talking about. And she says, what do you mean the next textbook? And I pointed out the textbook says it's, book 2A. And I had gone online and there was a part B, and it looked like each one was for one semester of a year-long class.
Okay.
And the principal tells me that book was supposed to last all year.
Oh, no.
Yeah, in order to get this book lasting the whole year, we would have had to go one page per class.
Movie days, dude. Can't you do a movie day?
Yeah, y'all watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's a classic American movie. It'll teach you a lot of English.
Oh, man, I would have caught such hell for my principal if she caught me doing a movie day. You have no idea.
Oh,
We
so
did
you're
so
just
many
supposed
movie
to do
days.
the book. We did too. Oh God, I had this one class, dude. We watched The Breakfast Club. Yeah, English class. We watched The Breakfast Club. We watched The Outsiders, and it was just like, come on, this is great. I had one class. Teacher, it was
like Emilio Estevez movies.
Yeah, I had a half-hour course, Brett, and they had us watch JFK. Right?
Oh God.
Over. It's a
The whole
3-hour
thing.
movie.
Yeah.
And over like weeks, we watched JFK. And then at the beginning of every class, these two teachers would come in, and one believed in the conspiracy and one believed
What is this?
And they would just argue about it for 15 minutes, then
no.
start the movie, and we would watch 15 minutes of it and go on to the next
I want to
day.
be a teacher. I can teach like that.
They don't do it like that in Japan. You can't do that in Japan. You gotta do one
Well,
page
I
out
could
of
have
the book.
figured something else out if they had told me that this book was supposed to
Right,
last
you
the
could've
whole
bought
year.
him some
Like I was
time.
coming up with assignments for everything else.
Yeah. So what did they do? What'd you end up doing? How did that play out?
Well, so the principal went and grabbed the binder with the budget, like just to show me, and said, "Hey, we can't afford to get out of the book. And this was like a movie scene right behind her. I can see at the same time she's showing me this budget, the movers who are bringing in the all-new office furniture for the executive office.
That sounds like a National Lampoon's movie.
That's not important, though, because like when you bring in high dollar clients to your school that teaches language, you want them to see
Luxury.
the furniture and see what it looks like. This is very high powered meetings happen at this school, okay?
Oh, their stuff was so fancy beforehand. We were sitting there with desks they brought in when the school was founded, and this office has like a big marble meeting table and all that.
Yeah, a couple Eames chairs for people to lounge around in.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, yeah, it was nuts. And the thing is, this book cost about $12 online per book, and I had 4 students.
What?
So it would have
What?
been $48 to get the next book.
Yeah.
Could you have bought one book and just had all 4 of them sit around the book? That's what I would have done.
Yeah, can we share the
Well,
book?
so what I ended up doing, and they didn't find out until I left the school, is I bought one of the books off Amazon, and then in the morning when I finished up with kindergarten, before my boss got there, I'd just go into the copy room. I'd copy out a bunch of pages, and after about a week of doing that, I was able to just give each student a binder with a full copy of the textbook.
Do you think that what happened, though, after that was they went to the next class and just learned the next book? Like, because now you got a log jam, right? Now you're looking at, like, okay, well, you're supposed to do one book a year. Now we go to the next class and we do the next book, but you've already taught them the next book.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I knew the guy who was replacing me, and I
Okay.
just went to him and told him what was up.
That is
Because they
nuts.
wanted me to start halfway through the year with a completely different book.
Okay. I loved it.
They wanted me to just go into the closet and pick something else
Yeah,
out.
anywhere you go in the globe, humans are bumbling idiots that are trying to cover their own ass and save face.
Save money.
Yeah.
Especially everywhere in the world, I believe. I'll bet you anything. Everywhere in the world, the thing the school hates the most is paying for textbooks.
Oh, yeah.
It probably
Paying for
drives-
anything.
Yeah, well, it probably drives like every year. Because I remember when I was in 9th grade, my textbook, I didn't go to school in the 80s. I went to school in the 90s. And I remember 9th grade, the textbook that I had in health, copyright 1978.
Ooh.
This was like in there telling you like eat some bacon for vigor and stuff.
Yeah.
Teacher would have to be like, don't now ignore the food guide pyramid there that has
Right. It has beef
that has-
Wellington for breakfast.
That was the sort of thing
Ham
they wanted me
salad.
to teach out of, books that were still using AOL example.
Yeah, they hate buying books. It just there's something about schools.
But the thing is, they weren't even paying for the books at the school. They were charging the students a materials fee, getting a book that's supposed to last 6 months and just pocketing the rest.
oh,
Oh,
schools,
yeah.
schools.
Woohoo.
School administrators are, yeah, I wonder, they're pretty up there with small business tyrants. Like some school administrators, you'll be looking at them like, I don't know.
I have to say, actually, I feel like it's the most impossible job in the world.
Okay,
Because you're handed down like money and a budget and regulations from up above, and you really don't have the opportunity to like make more money or like market it differently.
Well, that's what I mean by administrators being like I guess even the administrators has to deal with whatever the goddamn government decides.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like our administrator in Columbus is awesome. She's really fun and great, but like she can't just it's not like she can change the budget, you
No.
know. They tell her how much she can fucking spend.
Yeah. Yeah. And she ain't buying textbooks.
Yeah,
with
this
that.
one was not a public school.
Yeah.
This was like a tutoring center, sort of after school thing.
Oh,
Private, too.
Holy
Private.
So
fuck,
they were
this is
part of a
getting
big
worse.
company that ran like nursing homes and kindergartens and
fuck
daycares
off.
around the city and all
Fuck
that.
off.
I want to go to Japan though. Maybe I'll go there and teach.
Yeah, I want to
Japan.
grift in
One
Japan a
book.
little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? You only get one life, one chance, motherfucker. That's what Madball said.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Eminem Rabbit
Oh.
from 8 Mile.
Dude,
So
dude,
you
dude,
said you
dude.
wanted to talk about Mike Rowe. Now, I want to guess real quick. I'm not trying to be a pain or steal your thunder. It's that language changes, and there is no right language. Right? Is that where he's wrong linguistically, like basically?
That's pretty much the gist of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just changes, and linguists are just there to document what's happening, not tell people what to do right or wrong and all that.
Yeah, that's always. I think when people, it's the same thing with cursive, right? Like there was this period a couple years ago where all the memes were about how kids aren't being taught cursive anymore, and it's like you're just mad because they made you learn it. That's what I get from things like this. It's like you're just mad now that you're just mad that you learned vocabulary and it doesn't matter anymore. Not vocabulary. You're mad that you learned punctuation and stuff like that and it doesn't matter anymore, really, in everyday life. It never did. Commas and fucking periods.
When you mentioned vocabulary, that's the other thing. You talked about people being able to use a sentence, but that's only in text. No linguist is going to worry because you still have to use words when you're talking to someone face to face.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always I've talked to linguists. We have some friends that are friends of the show that went to school for linguistics, and they really opened my eyes to like there is no right way. Language is about communication and communicating things to each other, and as long as you're communicating it, it's not. I mean, it's not. Even if it was grunts. You're still getting the point across, right? You know?
Yeah, and the standardization of it all is something that happens with like scholarly papers and like going to college and shit. But like as far as how we talk to each other, you know, there isn't like a group of scientists that are like holding their head and sighing because we all started saying LOL to each other.
I know.
20 years ago.
LMAO.
And even with academic papers, because the same time I was in grad school for linguistics, I was working at a newspaper as an editor. And the first thing they teach you when you're going through and learning all these rules is the whole point of it is just to be as clear as possible.
Right. So
like all those rules they teach you in school, it's just so that you can communicate.
Right. So just be clear. That's all they're saying. And an emoji makes a clear point a lot of time. I mean, some adults are really bad at emojis.
For sure.
Like I'm still pretty bad. I don't use them very much because like I get them wrong, whatever they mean. I do. The sorry one, I would have never known that was sorry.
Oh.
Straight face?
Yeah.
What's that? You know, but I mean,
you never go.
Yeah, I use words though when I don't understand what the emoji means, and I think everybody does that. Micro is. Here's the thing about Micro. He hates everything.
He's performative.
Yes, he is a snowflake.
He's a jackass that is only interested in this because it makes him look better. Because he can write his name in cursive.
Yeah. Dude, they were mad. Boomers.
Oh, I know. That was like
furious about
Common
cursive.
Core.
Yeah. They were mad about Common Core, but they were so much more mad. There was a few times where I talked to people about Common Core and just changed their mind completely. I know I talked to somebody, one of Brett's in-laws, about it, and I was just like, you know, here's why they teach Common Core like that. And they were just like, oh, yeah, that does make sense. And it's like, yeah, I don't know why people were freaking out about it so much. But yeah, the emojis and shortening things, it's weird to even care. It really does come off as sour grapes that you had to learn something. Oh man, they taught me calligraphy. Yeah. Why would I care at all in this whole world to write in calligraphy?
I don't want to be too woke, but a lot of this also is a lot of like misogyny and that old men are pissed off at what teenage girls are happy about.
That's true.
That's where a lot of that, like, real men don't say LOL to each other. Real men don't use emoticons. Like, he comes from that same stripe of that, I feel like, as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if anybody tries to tell you the abbreviation is doing anything, just point out to them how much the ancient Romans used abbreviation. They went wild with that stuff.
Oh, did they? Yeah, I think everybody did.
Temples, you look at the top, it's all just 1 or 2 letter phrases.
Yeah, I think everybody does that. I think every generation of humanity has been like, I'm not going to speak poetically and flowery. They think because Shakespeare wrote a lot of stuff that like, oh shit, that's how people talked back then. And it's not.
Yeah. And every single year, Webster adds bling bling to the dictionary or some other thing, and we keep coming up with new words and things to say, and it keeps.
And they get hot under the collar about that though too.
Right.
That's rap words. I don't like it. Well, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. That was good.
Yeah, it was great talking with you guys. Can I plug something real quick? Y'all mind?
Absolutely.
So my roommate and I started up a YouTube channel. We're doing leftist topics with news, social issues, things like that. Our latest episode of the podcast that goes along with it is just talking about people's rights if ICE or Border Patrol stops. And so that's going to be out on Wednesday. We just recorded it today.
Type.
Cool. All right. Yeah. What's the name?
Yeah, so you can find that on YouTube. The channel is The Neighborhood with Mike and Dave, and all the links are right there.
All right. Have a good night. That's
all right. You guys have a good show.
I just there's so much in that kind of stuff, like where he's talking about. You were supposed to do that textbook for the whole year.
Oh,
like,
right.
I hear that. The administrators I hear that stuff so much. Like I'll say this.
Well,
we as people do not care about our children's education. I mean, I personally care. I do for my daughters, but I think that like we make that like the 10th most important thing on our list.
We don't have enough. This is not a good topic for the basement show because I have a lot going on with that in my life right now.
Okay. Sorry, man.
I think that in my opinion, it's a problem because I'm not super invested in what my kid learns from the school or how she performs on a test because I genuinely believe by the times she's an adult, she'll understand reading and writing.
She'll figure it out.
Even if at like a kindergarten level, it's not like what they want. Yeah, so it's tough. But
Yeah.
You're right. At the same time, I do see the place we send her, and it sucks because nobody gives a fuck. They treat it like it's so fucking important, and they won't do anything to help out the fucking kids that have to go through it,
Yeah, it feels like like I said, the 10th thing on any city's list is education, even though they're like, education is so important to these children. But then it's like, well, the soccer stadium's more important than education.
Right.
The new condos are more important than education.
Right. Maybe some sort of new Amazon HQ5 could come into town. We'd have to give them a tax abatement, of course.
That's very important.
Oh, they were throwing money at fucking who was that? Stone Brewery. They were throwing money at.
Yeah. I'm trying to like I could just name so many things. That new recreation park that they're building up north of the city that's like
the Quarry.
Yeah, it's just some crazy thing that's like people they're building a fake beach in the middle of the fucking suburbs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
someone mentioned, so this is funny. Someone said one day in my cognitive psych class, we watched all of the stand-up routine with airplane jokes by George Carlin.
Oh no.
That was their education for the day.
It's funny, man.
I mean, TV day was the best. Whenever they like, they squeal, they put that cart, they get it up there. That big ass fucking CRT monitor just sitting up there blaring some Civil War movie.
So
fucking Barry Lyndon, like 30 minutes of that or something for the whole day.
So I took a course called Street Law when I was in the 11th grade.
Yeah.
And in that course, what we did was every Tuesday,